Hi friends, welcome to a very special late night, at least here on the East Coast. It is getting a little late. It's definitely dark outside, no sunshine coming through that window behind me, but welcome to a very special nighttime edition of Jesse James Beads Facebook Live. Welcome. So tonight is an exciting night, and I gotta tell you guys, just being completely transparent with you guys, I'm a little nervous. I don't normally get nervous with Facebook Lives because you guys know at this point it's kind of old hat to me. Like I can do this with my eyes closed, standing on my head, and one-handed. But I'm a little nervous tonight because this is something totally new for me. And I'm excited about it. I'm also a little nervous, and I hope that it goes really well. But I remind myself that you guys are way better at giving me grace, because you guys, you know I'm always saying that, give yourself grace. I have to remind myself that you guys are much more graceful with me than I am with myself. And so I'm going to take a lesson from you guys. Got to take a lesson from you guys. I know that you guys will forgive me if this is just, but I don't think it will be. We're going to have a good time. Mary says she's in her jammies, snuggled up. Awesome. So for those of you who are not participating in Jesse James Beads Summer Camp, this is kind of like our last nighttime gathering, right, as a Jesse James Beads Summer Camp community. And so we thought it would be really cool to do something extra special and a little different tonight for our around the campfire kind of gathering. And we wanted to open this up to everybody. So those of you who are not doing the Jesse James Beads Summer Camp, we wanted to share this with everybody, right? Because who doesn't like a good creepy story right before bed? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm hoping that you do. Otherwise, it's going to be literally crickets out there, you guys. So Patty says she's sitting in the dark for the experience. So for those of you who are participating in summer camp, you've gotten teasers about this pretty much all week to let you guys know sort of a little heads up about what is happening. But for those of you who are not, and maybe you don't follow me over on Sara Ellis Designs, this might be a brand new bit of information for you guys. And I'm excited to share it with you regardless. Maybe you forgot, whatever the situation may be. But before we get to that, because you guys know I always have to make sure that we get all of the important information taken care of before we get started with something. So let me just say, first and foremost, you guys, there is still 20% off over on the Jesse James Beads website on all Bead-A-Lon. And the code for that is kayaking, still keeping with the summer camp theme. And there is, you guys, for those of you who are doing summer camp, the sweatshirts are there. So if you want to go ahead and snag your sweatshirt, go ahead and place your order for that. You totally can do that. Super excited about that. I think that is such a really cool idea. So grab your sweatshirt. You will be very happy that you did do that. And of course, there are new beads. Have you noticed? Have you been over to the Jesse James Beads website this evening? So there are some new things over there for everybody. And I love it. I love it that we do an event and then we share with everybody because we don't want to leave anybody out, right? So first and foremost, there's a brand new strand. This is called Campfire Killer. And you guys, I love it. Okay, you guys know red and black is like, that's my jam. I'm all about red and black. And yeah, so of course, the strand is in red and black, my favorite, but it's also very campfire appropriate, if I might add. So if you don't want to call this the Campfire Killer, you don't have to. It's just a really gorgeous strand in some deep, deep reds that I absolutely love. There's the smoky colors in here for the campfire smoke, and then you've got your black as night beads through here. This is a really gorgeous strand. Yeah, that's available. It goes right along with what we are doing tonight. But that's not all that is available over on the website. So you can get the Bonfire Mini Mix. So for those of you who are in summer camp, if you want an extra, the Bonfire Mini Mix, wait, the Bonfire Mini Mix, is that different? Sarah, you'll have to let me know, because like now I'm looking at it, I'm like, is that a different? I think it's the exact same. Bonfire mini mix that is available. The Happy Camper, I know that metal mix is exactly the same. So there is that guy that we are sharing. There are some seed bead mixes. There is the hiking trail seed bead mix. There is the rise and shine seed bead mix, and then of course the gather around the campfire. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude, like be looking away. I'm just checking the website because I don't want to get any of this wrong, you guys. Gather around the campfire tassel assortment, which is gorgeous. So there is a lot of new stuff over on the website. So definitely take advantage of that. Stick around with me first, and then you can head on over to the website, grab your sweatshirt, and load up on those beads. And don't forget your Beadalon tools as well. All of your Beadalon items you're going to get that 20% off on. So definitely some really cool things, right, happening all week long, and the sales and the beads, and it just, I don't know, it just seems to keep getting better and better as we go. So Dawn says she wishes she could have done summer camp. Well, I got two things to say to that. First, there's a lot of summer camp goodies over on the website that we are sharing. So definitely go check those out. And second, you guys, we've already been talking about what we're going to do next. So don't think that if you miss summer camp that that's like it, because we've had such an amazing experience with the summer camp and with the community that we have built around summer camp. The designers, we've all had a blast. Sarah James has put together the most amazing thing, and to watch it all like come to fruition this week and see everything play out, it's so crazy to watch it on paper come to life. And so I can promise you this will not be the last gathering of fun that we have, right? So don't worry. If you didn't do summer camp, that's okay. Do not worry. We're going to do more fun things, you guys. We're always looking for new things to do and share and experiences to have with each other. So don't worry, there's more good to come, always. Always more good things, all good things. All right, so with all of that out of the way, let me just take a second just to say hi to everybody. Everybody looks like they have been having a really good time, and I'm so glad. I know I have been having a blast. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really, really tired, but it is really late for me. I'm usually like in bed at this point. Not necessarily asleep, but I'm definitely relaxing at this point. So I am a little on the tired side, but you know, it's like you get right down to the minute before live, and all of a sudden you get like that extra boost of energy. So I'm good to go. I'm good to go, and I'm happy to share this fun experience with you guys. So what is this experience, you might ask? Some of you have not been part of summer camp, so you have no idea what we are even talking about. So we do have a lot of new people as well. So heads up for you guys. This is maybe some new information for you all as well. So I have my own personal Facebook page. It is called Sara Ellis Designs. If you have not followed me or liked me or whatever on Facebook, please take a moment to do that when you get a chance. Don't forget, share some love. Come on over to Sara Ellis Designs and say hello to me. I do one Facebook Live a week on Sara Ellis Designs. That happens on Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So if this is your first time experiencing me in Jessie James Bead Summer Camp, and you kind of like the way that I do things, then come hang out with us on Sara Ellis Designs. I use Jessie James beads every week. So if you love gorgeous beads, you're going to get more gorgeous beads, and you're going to get more fun projects. So I do several projects throughout the week with Jessie James Beads, and then I kind of end the week on Sara Ellis Designs with one last hurrah project before we head on into the weekend. So please come and hang out over there with us. I'll have a project tomorrow, and you are absolutely invited to come and hang out. And Sarah James, Jessie James Beads are completely supportive of me and Sara Ellis Designs. So we just go hand in hand. We're like peas and carrots. So just know that you're just going to get a double dose of fantastic Jessie James beads and a lot more projects. So it's double the fun, right? Double the fun. Well, speaking of that, I also happen to have my own YouTube channel, and I will be completely honest with you guys that my YouTube channel is sitting there completely dormant at the moment. I try very hard to keep up with it and upload our lives. Like, I'll transfer the lives over to YouTube, but the truth is that I'm very, very lazy about doing that. It's not necessarily that I'm lazy. That's probably a bad thing to say about myself, but I get busy and I forget. And so that YouTube channel really just kind of sits there with some old projects on it, but I never really update it. And so I was thinking about how on earth I could bring that YouTube channel back to life. And I was trying to think kind of outside the box, and I wanted to do something different. And so, of course, because we are like peas and carrots, me and Sara James, she's the first person that I go to, and I'm like, I have this idea and I want to run it by you and see what you think. So I share this idea with her, and of course she's on board with anything that I want to try, even if it might be the most wacky thing ever. And this could be the wackiest thing ever, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I definitely have a lot of support and have had a lot of really good feedback about said venture. And so I'm hoping that you guys will be on board with it as well. So what on earth am I talking about? Well, I'm thinking that, I'm not thinking, this totally is happening. It's not up in the air. It is happening. September 12th, I will be debuting on my YouTube channel a new series, and it is called the Maker Mystery series. And over on Maker Mysteries, probably in the beginning it will be maybe twice a month, I'm going to upload, so it won't be a live project, it will be a pre-recorded project. I'm going to upload a video project that I create, right? You'll be seeing my hands working. I'm going to put together a piece of jewelry start to finish. And as I am putting that together, I will be telling you a mystery, a real mystery, not a made up story, a real life mystery. And the mysteries could include any of the following, okay? I'm obsessed with investigation discovery. So murder mysteries are like at the top of my, that's the top of my list of things that I like to, I like to be a detective when I can be, right? So murder mysteries, ghost stories, true, but passed around ghost stories. I'm not saying ghosts are real or not. That's up to you to decide, but ghost mysteries, and really kind of any paranormal mystery, anything that's going to fall in that mystery category, you're probably going to hear at some point in Maker Mystery series. Okay. And what makes this even cooler is that because I have the support of Jessie James Beads, that there may be, with some of these, there may be some bead mixes or a bead strand or something along those lines to go as a companion with the story. So it might not be every single time. I don't know how involved Sara wants to be, but hopefully every now and then I'm going to be able to throw in a cool bead strand for you guys that you can see me use in a project, and then you can hop on over to the website and grab it, and you can recreate the project yourself, and it'll just be kind of something different, right? In this industry, a lot of what you see is we teach over and over and over again, and that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with education. Like, the more the better. But I feel like sometimes we need to change it up a little bit and kind of think outside the box. So that's what this is gonna be, right? I'm gonna tell you some sort of mystery. You can listen and watch me make some jewelry. Weird, right? So either that's the weirdest thing you've ever heard, or it sounds really, really cool. Either way, I'm going to give it a try. We're going to see what happens, and, we'll just see what happens. It's either going to take off, or we'll do it and people won't like it, and then we'll move on to something else, because that's what we do. We're resilient, right? Always trying out new things. So for tonight, you guys kind of get to be my guinea pig for this. So this is a little bit different because this is happening as a live, right? So you are going to have the opportunity to kind of interject and throw in your comments, right? Where that won't necessarily be the case over on YouTube. So you guys can kind of play along with me. And because this is live, and we're doing jewelry, like, this is my first kind of opportunity to put together jewelry and talk about something other than jewelry at the same time. That's why I'm a little nervous, because we'll just see. Right? You guys know I can talk to a brick wall, but about something other than jewelry while jewelry making is happening, we're going to see what happens. So I have prepared a mystery for you guys tonight, and we're going to put together a bracelet stack using our Campfire Killer strand. We're also going to be using some check glass beads available from Jessie James Beads. I've got some black, I've got some clear. I'm going to show these to you up close. And I also have a metal bead assortment that I'm going to mix in. So I've got the Design by Me mix. I'm going to use a handful of beads from this. And then there is also a silver metal assortment that is a little bit different. It doesn't come on a card, but it is also available over there. Pat your head and rub your tummy. So I've got this as well. You guys, Jessie James Beads, not only do they do the most amazing beads, but they also do amazing metal beads. So if you are not familiar with the metal beads or the specialty beads that are available over on Jessie James Beads website, please take this opportunity to check that out as well. Just spend some time on the website. And I got to tell you, I check back on the website every day because it seems like there is always something new to discover on the website. So hopefully I'm going to kind of introduce those of you who are new to Jessie James Beads to some products that maybe you guys didn't know that Jessie James Beads offered. Okay, so that's the goal for tonight. So let me kind of just set the scene a little bit, and then I'll take you guys down to the mat, and we're going to put together these bracelets. Now, before I get started with that, we're using elasticity. I'm just going to string simple bracelets. For one thing, it never gets old to watch somebody string an elastic bracelet and tie that knot. Okay, we're going to tie the knot 3 times, and I will stop chatting about the mystery long enough to walk you through this knot at least twice. Okay, so you are going to get some education here as well. You're also going to get to see some beautiful beads. Okay, so let me set the scene and then we'll get on down to it. So there are a lot of mysteries out there, and there are also a lot of urban legends as well. And what some people don't realize is that a lot of times urban legends or scary campfire stories, right? Just the spooky stories that you tell in the dark when you're sitting around the campfire with your friends. You may not realize that a lot of those stories are actually based in reality. And spoiler alert, this is one of those stories. So I do have a murder mystery for you tonight. So you guys, trigger warning, okay? This is about a true crime that happened. This is a real murder that happened. I'm going to mention some not pleasant things, but I'm not going to get graphic, okay? I figure that's what the imagination is good for. I don't have to do that part for you. You're either going to scare yourself and not sleep tonight, or you're going to paint yourself some daisies and roses in your head, and it will all be okay. But this is a true story. And so if that is something that is unsettling to you, you might just want to turn the volume down and just watch me make the bracelets, okay? So let's start with the urban legend kind of campfire story of this first. The campfire story is one that's probably been heard a million times, where, you know, you're out and you're camping and a black figure comes with bright red eyes and attacks the campground, right? Attacks the campers. There's a version of that story probably told over a million times, a million different ways. But what you may not know is that that is most definitely based in reality, and 9 times out of 10, that particular urban legend or campfire story comes from this exact murder mystery. This happens in Lake Bottom, Finland. So this is not an American tale. This is a Finland mystery. And if you are interested in looking it up, I can provide links for you so you can look up some more information about this later on. Side note, because this is in Finland, the names are really hard to pronounce. So just bear with me. Their names are way different than names here in the States. So if I completely trash their names, my apologies to them and the Finnish language, okay? All right, guys. So let's get down to it. I'm going to get the beads going. I've got my notes here. So if you hear the papers rattling, it's because I don't have it all completely memorized. I just want to make sure I get the facts straight. Okay. All right, let's do this. Let's do it. All right. So first and foremost, you guys want to take a quick look at the strand. Is that not gorgeous? Oh, it's so, so pretty. So, so gorgeous. All right. I love it. I love it. All right. So I'm going to lay out beads as I'm kind of laying out the story for you guys. And I wanted you guys to see, I have my own little Campfire Killer here with me from Camp Crystal Lake. He's standing right over here to the side as we are working. Okay. So this unfortunate tale of murder happens in June of 1960. Okay, so you get in your Wayback Machine. We're going all the way back to 1960 in the town of Lake Bottom, which is about, I would say it is about 20 to 30 minutes from Helsinki, which is one of the biggest, major towns there in Finland. Everybody knows Helsinki. So in Lake Bottom, it is a really beautiful lake where lots of people go camping. And not only do they go camping, but they go hiking and fishing. It's really just kind of a place where people go to picnic and just really spend the day outdoors. The scenery there is absolutely beautiful. Not only was it beautiful in 1960, but it actually is still a really beautiful place that people still, even though something terrible happened there, people still go there and spend quite a bit of time there. You know, it's just a great place where families go. And so for teenagers, two teenage girls, let me look at the names because I'm really gonna mess these up. So Mela Bjorklund, it's the last names that always get me. Mela Bjorklund, she was 15. Anya Maki, she was also 15. And their two boyfriends, Niles and Seppo, who were 18. So their boyfriends are a little bit older than them. And also remember, this is 1960, so that's a little bit, it's a little bit different time, right? So their parents were like, okay, you know, y'all can go camping, which my parents would have never said okay to when I was 15 to go camping with a boy, but hey, what do I know? So they decide that they're going to go camping at Lake Bottom. And they are going to spend just one night. They get there kind of early in the afternoon. Just looking for the bead that I want for this, you guys. They get there kind of early afternoon and they spend the afternoon fishing. They do some swimming in the lake. They grill out, you know, and they do what teenagers do when they hang out at the lake, right? But they set up their tent. And in Finland, in the summertime, it gets dark very, very late, and it only stays dark for a very limited amount of time. And so there's not a whole lot of darkness that happens. However, for the sake of the story, when I say nighttime, let's pretend that I mean it's in the dark. Just side note, you know. All right, so they decide to go to bed probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock. They were not up very late. And part of the reason that they went to bed so early is just like I said, because in the summertime in Finland, the light, you only have so many hours of darkness. And a lot of times the people there, they like to take advantage of those dark hours, right? Because that's when they feel like they get the most restless sleep, or the restful sleep, I would say. So I guess that makes sense. I, on the other hand, as a teenager, probably would have stayed up all night long, but hey. So anyway, they go to bed about 10:30, 11 o'clock. This is strand number 2 right here. I'm just laying out some of the gorgeous check glass beads to go with our strand. We're going to make more than one, okay? So they go to bed, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, someone comes along, either one person or more than one person, okay? They don't know. That's why this is a mystery. Somebody comes along, and the kind of tent that they were using was propped up with tent. It's like cable that's running between trees. So it's not necessarily a pop-up tent that had like a structure to it, right? Somebody comes along and cuts the cord that is holding their tent up, so that now their tent has fallen down on top of them. And then they obviously wake up from that and are being attacked. Someone is slashing at the tent with a knife and a blunt object. We don't necessarily know what blunt object is, but we assume that it is something probably like a rock or maybe a really heavy branch. All we know is that a blunt object is used, okay? And all 4 of these teenagers are brutally attacked while they are sleeping in their tent. And excuse me, they are discovered the next morning, and the timeline here is a little bit off, and it really kind of depends on what sources you read. But according to some of the sources that I read, 2 young boys, and we're talking probably preteen, they made it seem like they were around the 10 to 12 age. These 2 boys were bird watching at about 6 a.m., which I find just really kind of suspect in general, but okay. So these 2 young boys are bird watching, and they see this tent laying on the ground, and they see 2 people that they think are sleeping on the top of the tent. Okay, and these 2 boys just make the assumption that maybe these people decided that instead of going inside their tent, that they were going to lay on the outside of their tent and watch the stars, I guess, to sleep. So they don't really stop. They don't notice anything wrong, but they are the very first witnesses to see anything. Okay. It takes until 11 a.m. That was at 6 a.m. It takes until 11 a.m. for a jogger that is jogging around the lake to come in and notice that there is something seriously wrong with the situation. And he goes all the way up to the tents, and he realizes that there are 2 bodies laying on the top of the tent and 2 bodies inside the tent. Okay. And remember, this tent is like flattened. Okay. And he assumes, rightfully so, at first, that all 4 of the teenagers have passed away. Okay, he just assumes that they have all 4 perished in this brutal attack. He goes and calls the police. This is not necessarily the time in 1960 where there was anything close by, so he had to travel to go to a payphone. And it takes the police until noon the next day, well, not the next day, but noon that day, to actually get there. Okay, so these bodies have been laying there for quite a while. Other people have walked by. Just keep all of that in mind, okay? This is not a secure crime scene at all. And the police don't get there until noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right in that hour, okay? I'm pre-stretching my elasticity. And when the police get there, because Lake Bottom is such a picturesque area, they are really kind of befuddled, of course. They don't get a lot of crime in that area, and so the police don't really know what to do. And so, as a lot of police tend to do in these kinds of mysteries where we never have any answers, they do not secure the crime scene properly. Instead, they let people from all over, volunteers and people that were also camping in the area, to come into the crime scene and tramp around and walk around. And as this is happening, one of the teenagers, they realize, is still alive. So the boy who is still alive is 18-year-old Niels, and he has been unconscious this entire time. And up to this point, they think that he has passed away like the others, but he is still very much alive. He was coming in and out of consciousness, and he was very, very badly beaten. He had, just really bad cuts all over his face, and he had a fracture in the back of his skull. Now remember that for later, okay? This was a fracture in the back of his skull. So the police ask him, of course, and keep in mind, he's in and out of consciousness, okay? So the police ask him you know, who did this to you? Can you tell us anything? And because he is in such a state of shock, he tells the police that all he remembers is a dark figure cloaked in black with bright red eyes attacked him and killed his friends. Now, that's where your campfire story, your urban legend comes from, that is passed around. But we come to find out, of course, that that was just because he was in shock. And that was, you know, that was not necessarily the truth, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. It is a mystery. So maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But he is alive. He's the only survivor. He goes and spends some time in the hospital for several weeks to get well. He has extensive and severe injuries. He has a concussion. He's got a lot of healing to do. In the meantime, the police, just like they did that day, they never secure the crime scene at all. Okay, not at all. They don't rope it off. They don't do anything. And so volunteers come in and search the area, trample all over whatever kind of evidence there could have been, right? And possibly destroy any kind of clues that could lead to who their killer is. And I feel like, you know, people thought they were being helpful, and obviously the police thought that this was a helpful thing to do, but I really think that this is the entire reason. So I didn't walk through this knot, but I will walk through the next one, okay? I really feel like this is the reason why this murder has never been solved, and it's just because of such, you know, bad police work. But they didn't know what to do. They had never been faced with that kind of situation before, so they were really kind of out of their element dealing with this kind of crime. However, the people that were looking for clues, about a mile from the crime scene, they come up to a pair of shoes that is near the lakeside, but it's also down a trail that is a very kind of windy, and it's like a mile away from the crime scene. These bloody shoes. Well, they take the shoes. They don't know. They just assume that maybe these were the killer's shoes. Why he leaves his shoes behind, nobody knows at that time. And there were things that were missing, but not the kinds of things that are going to make you think that it was a robbery. Okay, so the teenagers had driven to the campground on motorcycles, and the motorcycle keys were missing, but the motorcycles were still there. The wallets were missing, and some of their clothing was missing. But outside of the keys, the wallets, and the clothing, nothing else of value was missing from the crime scene at all. So that's pretty much all of the details that they had. So they wait about a month, and they let Niels, the survivor, they let him heal, and he agrees to go under. I'm missing 2 black beads in the next bracelet. Wait, where? I'm glad you're paying attention, because I'm like, what do you mean I'm missing 2 black beads? This one's awfully short. Am I missing something from it? I know that I probably am. Yeah, well, see, that's why I say you guys get to be the guinea pig. I'm glad you guys are watching out for me. We'll try to get this next one. We'll try to get this next bracelet right. All right. Okay, so hang on. Let me double check. Now I gotcha, right? We got, this guy goes on the end. Okay, so as I was saying, Niels agrees to go under hypnosis. And again, this is in the 60s, and hypnosis is still not something that necessarily the police put a whole lot of stock in, nor do most other people. But he agrees to go under hypnosis in hopes of maybe getting some more details of the crime. And so as he is hypnotized, he actually goes through this process 3 or 4 times, and he remembers enough that a sketch artist puts together about 3 sketches of a guy that, I'm going to pull up, let me get the details of this for you guys. So he says that it is a, thank you, Julie. He says that the guy is in his middle age. He has long blonde hair, except that the majority of Finland population, about 80% of males, are blonde. So that's not really all that helpful. Again, in the 60s, long hair, what could that possibly mean? There were no actual specifics to that. And he says that it was a man with large lips and had a lot of acne. And so they put together these police sketches, and you can look these up online. They're pretty terrifying, actually. It's too bad I can't like pop a picture in for you guys to see, because the sketches were really scary. Like, I can see where, like, a guy in black with bright red eyes, I can see where that would come in with these police sketches. They were really kind of creepy. So look those up if you want to scare yourself, for sure. But they couldn't, they couldn't pin down any person to go with these sketches. And of course, it was just such a general kind of description. It wasn't very helpful. And they really had no evidence other than just those shoes. And so the case kind of goes cold for a while, right? Other witnesses came forward and said that they saw some things, but there was never really anything that was concrete that they could go on. So they had some potential suspects, right? But they just never really panned out. There was one guy in particular that was just like this grumpy old guy. And they actually called him Kiosk Man because he ran a little kiosk at the lake where he would sell fishing tackle and camp supplies and snacks and things like that. Well, he was generally known to just be a grumpy person, and he was so hateful that he would stand outside his shop and like throw rocks at children as they rode their bicycles by. Like, this was just not a good dude, okay? And supposedly one night he gets really, really drunk, and he tells a friend of his that he actually was the one who committed these murders, but that he hid all of the evidence in a well that was on his property. Well, the police, of course, investigate this, but wouldn't you know it, the guy fills in the well with concrete. Yeah. He fills in the well with concrete, and nobody bothers to like dig the concrete up. They search, but they don't dig up the well. And of course they don't find anything. And his wife gives him an alibi and says that he was with her the entire night and there's no way that he could have done it. So the police take him off of the suspect list. All right, I'm going to walk through this knot with you guys, okay? We're just doing stretch bracelets, so we're just tying knots to secure our elasticity. That first bracelet, you guys, I feel like I need to go back and do it again because I don't know what happened with it. It's very, very small. I really was just not paying attention to what I was doing because, like I said, this is... this is new for me to be talking about something other than jewelry making as I'm making some jewelry. So I appreciate your patience with me and for chiming in, Julie. I appreciate that very much. All right, so before I go on to the next potential suspect, I'm going to tie this knot for you guys, okay? And then we're going to string up this gorgeous strand. So I have the two ends of elasticity and they are running side by side in the same direction, okay? I'm holding all of the beads in my left hand. Missing beads in the first one. Yeah, I know. I just got too befuddled to like go back and fix it. So we may fix it at the end. But I've got the elasticity running in the same direction. So my two strands are not running opposite each other. They're both going in the same direction. Okay. I've got my beads in my left hand. I've got my right hand with the length of the elasticity. I'm really going to pull on this some more. Okay. Be sure that when you're using elasticity that you, absolutely pre-stretch this because there's nothing worse than getting your bracelet all tied up and getting the knot perfect and putting it on and realizing that there's a ton of slack because it didn't get pre-stretched. It's a real bummer. So just be aware. All right. I'm going to take the two strands. I'm going to take my two fingers and I'm going to wrap those strands very tightly around my two fingers. okay? Making a loop around my fingers. And then I'm going to take the 2 strands, and you see I can get into that loop. I'm going to wrap both strands around once and both strands twice. So I'm making a surgeon's knot just with my strands running in the same direction, okay? Now I'm going to pull, and I want to pull, and kind of slide my finger out as I'm pulling, right? Just like so. So now I've got the world's strongest elasticity knot ever. And you guys, if you ever want to see the step-by-step directions on the back of your package of elasticity, is this exact knot. A lot of people use a square knot for their elasticity, and they'll do like a double square knot. I've never had any luck with it. I know a lot of people do have great luck with it, but I have never ever had very good luck with it. So I stick with the tried and true method, just like this. The only problem is that it does create a very large knot. And so it's helpful if you can find a large hole bead like this one and tie your knot next to it so you can slip that knot into the bead. But I just kept mine on the back. To tighten the knot up even further, pull on your bracelet. The more you pull, the tighter that knot is going to be. And of course, makes double sure that it's nice and tight, okay? If you use this knot, you're not going to need any glue for this whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and trim this down, okay? And I'm going to leave that. It bothers some people, totally does not bother me at all, okay? All right, so now let's move on to our next suspect. And I actually left out a quick little side note about the suspect that I was just talking about that ran the little kiosk. Well, his wife gave an alibi for him, of course, and the police decided that he was not a very good suspect because she gave him an alibi and because they considered him to be mentally disturbed. However, right before his wife dies, she confesses that she made up the alibi because he told her that if she did not make up the alibi that he would kill her, and she believed on her deathbed that he's the killer. Okay, never went to trial or anything like that. They never arrested him or anything. As a matter of fact, later on, that particular man committed suicide. So there was never a way to charge him. And they didn't really have enough evidence to, other than her word. So there was a second suspect. This guy's kind of weird. So there was a man, his name was Hans, and he, on July 6th, now this is the day that the bodies were found, he shows up at a hospital in Helsinki, which is just nearby, right? And he has blood all over him. And he looks like he's been in a brawl, like he has injuries and cuts. And the doctors say that he had more blood on him than he sustained in his own injuries, which leads people to think that obviously the blood that was all over him came from somebody else. Well, this guy was just kind of a shady character in general. He was an alleged KGB spy, okay? And so he had kind of a shady background, that to say the least. And he was actually a suspect in several other murders, but he did have a strong alibi. And so they never really went any further with investigating this guy. However, a lot of the locals believed that this guy was the killer. But they say that he had, because he was working for the KGB, that he had some really high up political ties and therefore was never fully investigated. However, this guy did kind of fit the sketch in that he had really long blonde hair, and oddly enough, about a week after the murder, he cut all his hair off, which I find interesting. So those were the two main suspects during the 60s. And of course, none of those ever came to, to be arrested or anything like that. So the case goes cold until 2004. Okay, at this point, our survivor, Niels, he's in his 60s. And they have brand new DNA evidence, and they have sent in the shoes. Remember those shoes that were just randomly on the side of the lake a mile away? Well, come to find out, those shoes are covered in blood. Not only are those shoes covered in blood, but those are Niels' shoes. They were his shoes. They were covered in blood, and the blood that was on them was our three victims, but not Niels' blood. So, of course, the police think that Niels is the killer, and that somehow he manages to attack his three friends and bludgeon them and cut them with a knife, and then walks away, leaves his shoes a mile away, walks all the way back, and then proceeds to beat himself up and give himself all of these injuries and hurt himself so badly that he gives himself a concussion and a fracture in the back of his skull, right? And then passes out unconscious right in the middle of the murder scene. So seemingly he gets away with murder, right? Well, I've got lots of problems with this whole theory, but at the time, the police think they've got a great case. They arrest him, they put him in jail, and he spends a year in jail waiting for his trial. And when the trial comes, a lady, okay, 40-something years later, testifies. It takes her 40 years to come up with this, I don't know, this testimony. I don't know why she couldn't have said this 40 years ago, but she says that she saw the whole thing happen and that Niels is the killer. He did it, right? Well, the defense argues that this woman couldn't possibly have that great of a memory. It was 40 years ago. Why didn't she say anything then? And that there is absolutely no way that that Niels could have created the kinds of injuries that he sustained. There's no way that he could have done that to himself. And so, after a year in prison waiting for his trial, he is acquitted of all charges and is released. And not only is he released, but he goes on and is awarded 44,000 euros paid to him for his mental suffering and the time that he spent in prison for a crime that he was acquitted of. It's also worth mentioning that this Niels guy, okay, he was acquitted, and part of the defense was that for 44 years he never had any other run-ins with the law. He didn't just decide to murder his three friends in a very brutal way and then go on to live an upstanding life, okay? That's not what happened. A lot of times people that commit those atrocious kinds of crimes go on to commit more crimes. He never committed anything even as much as getting a traffic ticket. So that was part of the defense, was that there's no way that this person so violently could kill three of their close friends, girlfriend included, and then go on to live a life and never do anything else or get caught doing anything else, depending on how you look at that. But he was acquitted October 7th in 2005, and I honestly didn't look up much past that to find out if he's still alive, what kind of life he has now, or any of that. But I do know that all of that information is readily available. In fact, this murder mystery is one of the very top murder mysteries that is associated with the country of Finland. They are really just kind of a low crime kind of place, and so this is the very top of the list for crimes for them. and has never been solved. And based on how terrible the police were and how they did not secure the crime scene at all, then I really feel like this case is not ever going to get solved, honestly. I feel like any evidence that there ever was is completely gone at this point. So there's really no way that this is ever going to be solved. But it's still interesting to kind of, look up and see, because the police sketches that he did, those were just really terrifying, to be honest with you. Look those up. They were very, very creepy to see. And what's even more creepy is that a guy went to all 3 of the funerals and was photographed in the crowds of those funerals and looked very much like the police sketches. They never identified that guy, so they don't know, who he was. And also, I mean, we're talking about 1960 photographs, so it's not like they were the most reliable sources, but it's still something that comes up if you are looking up information about this case. So I can post links for you guys later on if you want, or you can definitely just Google it and look it up yourself. There is a ton of information, and there's a lot of information that is not the same. So lots of sources have some really different and differing information. One of the accounts that I read said that the shoes that were Neil's, that the murderer took them off of Neil's and wore them, and they looked for the murderer's shoes, why the murderer would have walked up barefoot, and trying to decide if maybe it was a transient or something like that. And of course, they couldn't conclude anything because their police work was so bad, just so bad. It's really sad. I mean, that that crime just never really came to any kind of closure at all. And of course, that the Neil's guy, whether he did it or not, he was acquitted in the eyes of the law. So, as far as the rest of the world is concerned, he spent a year in jail for a crime that he did not commit. So it's interesting stuff. I hope you guys have enjoyed, listening to this one. This was a really good kind of trial for me to see if it is possible for me to put jewelry together and tell a mystery at the same time. I gotta tell you, it is a little challenging, I'm not gonna lie, but I think with a little bit of practice and some editing, the beauty of pre-recorded video, I think I'll be able to definitely do it. And maybe we can do some of these live every now and then. They definitely need to be like some easy projects like this one. But let's walk through this knot one more time, okay? And then I'm gonna put on this bracelet stack. All right, so I've got my 2 strands of elasticity running same direction. I've got all my beads in my left hand, my non-dominant hand, and my right hand, I've got the strands, okay? And I'm gonna pull again, just extra pulling here. And I'm gonna take the 2 strands, I'm gonna wrap them around my fingers, make a loop around my 2 fingers, and separate your fingers out so that you can get in there. It's kind of a funny little thing I'm doing with my fingers, but I want to be sure that I can get my ends through there. So I'm going to wrap the ends through once, and I'm going to wrap the ends through a second time, okay? And now when I pull, I'm going to be pulling the ends, and I'm also very carefully kind of slipping my fingers out as I am pulling that knot closed. So don't take your fingers out and then pull. You really kind of have to allow your fingers to be part of the knot all the way up until that last second, and then let go, okay, and pull. And then of course, pull on the length here. You're going to double check, make sure your knot is secure. If you've got a big bead you can put that next to, you're going to be able to tuck that in. Did I add any beads on the restring? I did. In fact, I think I added 4 extra beads. It's a lot bigger than it started. I can promise you that. It is a bigger bracelet than it was. All right, so I'm going to put these on, show you my bracelet stack. You guys, all of these check glass beads are available over on the Jessie James Beads website. They look really super cool with the metal beads, which are also available. And put together just a super cool Campfire Killer bracelet stack. Now that is a cool stack of bracelets, right? That is awesome. That's like my kind of jewelry. Give me a big old boho bead and some shiny metal and some facets, and I'm so good to go. And look, even my Stay Weird and Be You bracelets go with it as well, and they're stretchy as well. I'm all about the stretchy bracelets, you guys. So if you can really kind of figure that knot out and learn how to get it nice and tight, you can whip up some stretch bracelets super quick. And it's one of my very favorite ways to show off my favorite Jessie James beads. Stretch bracelets are always a good idea, right? Particularly if you need like a quick something to put on to match your outfit, or you need a quick gift. Grab yourself a gorgeous Jessie James bead strand, pop that on some elasticity, and you are good to go. Like that's a good look right there. Like that's a powerful stack of bracelets. All right, you guys, I'm going to turn you around. I'm going to look through some of the comments. I got to tell you, this was challenging, right? Oh gosh, it's been a long day and I can see it all over my face. It was a challenge, but I appreciate you guys sticking it out with me. So much fun to kind of try something new and see how it's going to go when I really take this over to the YouTube channel. I hope that you guys will follow me on over there and will be interested in subscribing and, you know, checking out our maker mysteries. You never know what kind of mysteries you're going to find, but I got to tell you, I already know what the first mystery is going to be. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it is definitely a good one, and it has a little bit of a supernatural twist to it, which makes it really just kind of bizarre and strange and out there, and those to me are the most fun. So I'm looking forward to getting that one together for you guys. That will be September 12th. Don't worry if you do not get a chance to make a reminder for yourself. I'll make a reminder for you. Don't worry. I can promote like nobody's business, so I'll probably drive you crazy reminding you about it, but it's just because I'm super excited, and hopefully we'll have a really cool bead mix to go with it as well. I'll keep you guys posted on that one. Do not forget to go over to the website, grab your sweatshirt, check out the new beads that are there, grab this new strand because hello, it's gorgeous, and it kind of marks our campfire, our creepy story by the campfire tonight. I'm so glad. Oh, everybody, thank you so much. Makes me feel really good. I appreciate that. I was a little worried because, you know, sometimes things can go not like what you expect. You know, you come up with an idea and then nobody else really gets it, and you know, and it tanks before it takes off. So I'm really glad that you guys stuck around for the mystery and watched me make some fun jewelry. I hope that I have shared a great knot with you that you can take and use in your own jewelry making, and maybe you'll let me share another mystery with you on September 12th. If you guys want to see another project on Sara Ellis Designs, 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow afternoon, that will be following our very last class for summer camp that is happening at 11 a.m. in the morning. So rise and shine, campers. Don't stay up all night partying and telling ghost stories by the campfire and making yourself on marshmallows. You've got to get up and get that coffee in your system, because we've got one more project to go, and it's a doozy. Not really. It's a great project, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So I will see you bright and early in the morning, and thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for joining me for this. It was fun, and I appreciate it. I very, very much appreciate it. So have a great night. Let me know if you've got any questions about the mystery or about jewelry making. Reach out to me. I'm always around, you guys. Bye. Have a good night.